welcome to the podcast. This is a part 2 of the Wholesale podcast. So today we have Wasim Ahmed, who's a contractor in Oxfordshire, and we also have Waqas Ahmed, not related. He's joining us from Liverpool. He owns 3 pharmacies, started out a 100-hour contract, and a distance selling pharmacy. So guys, welcome to the show. How are you guys holding up?
Yeah, when I have that moment, everybody looks at each other who's going to answer first. It's been a process. We had a police incident this morning, about around 10:05, and we've had 3 so far since this whole thing has happened. And bearing in mind, we're on a main road in Oxford. With the police station literally 2 days, not even a 2-minute walk from us, and it's never happened before. So this is all new territory. Holding up wise, I think the hardest battle for everybody right now is just making sure that we are kind of coping with it, not just from a physical exhaustion level, but also what's going on in here, and also with all the staff and teams that are working with us, just making sure that their morale isn't dropping, and it's a high level of intensity, looking like this.
Have you, Waqas, have you had the same issue on your end? As I know
I haven't had the police incidents, thankfully, but it has been a process. It's fair to say that it's probably a very good way of describing it. I think we've all sort of been thrown into this together, and the information we're getting from NHS England is the same as everybody else. The only difference is we're expected to pick it up, deal with it, and go with it straight away, immediately. I think the challenge is not just, it is physically demanding just because of the volume of work has grown, but also the mental side of it, keeping the staff morale up, keeping our own morale up. And the staff members who, I think the greatest difficulty for me personally has been from week to week, not really knowing what my staff levels are going to be, which is a really unusual situation to be in. So, you're always able to plan holidays, apart from sickness, holidays, time off, plan and cover. It's sort of day-to-day work. But then when you don't know from week to week, because somebody might be shielding, somebody might have a relative who's had to go into quarantine and therefore they have to quarantine. They may have received a letter from the government, and then that just throws up an unexpected challenge into the mix. And the contingency plans that we're all supposed to have in place are getting tested to the limit, I would say.
I know it's when I've just been to our station about a week ago. And I went to the first shift, and the pharmacy I was working at, they literally had a full new team. No one knew what was going on. And I think that's from talking to pharmacists around the country, both managers, locums, and even contractors. Everyone's pretty much in the same boat. We've had one pharmacist who was saying he was in his pharmacy from 7 in the morning till 2 a.m. that day. So, and it's been like this for days on end since the COVID situation started. And whether you're working for a multiple or a supermarket or independent, right now it's pretty much everyone. It sounds like it's on the same, but it's affecting everyone. The level of violence has gone up against every pharmacist, regardless of the company size. I know in the past people used to look at the independent contractors and support them because you're in a small community, you really know your people really well. But now it's like everyone is in the same, we're all getting attacked for trying to do our job, essentially. And yeah, I mean, the police has come out and kind of supported as much as they can, and PDA has come out and with their poster and trying to reduce the violence and trying to support the pharmacists where they can. I mean, I'm a rep for the union at the moment, and we kind of hear a lot of these talks from pharmacists around the country. Even locums have come back and said that we're getting attacked by customers in the front line just because of time we don't literally have these drugs. And obviously you go back to the company, it's like, well, we can't source these drugs. But how do you tell customers or the people in general that the problem isn't us? It's we just cannot get hold of enough drugs to give it to you at the moment. I mean, obviously for smaller companies like you guys, in the small independents, has it been sourcing? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, do you want to repeat the question?
Yeah, if you repeat that, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, so how difficult has it been sourcing the drugs from the wholesalers?
God, Caspar, do you want to go first, or?
Yeah, I don't mind. I think it has been difficult. I think we sort of, probably as most independents, we get sort of market information and you try and act upon that in a timely manner. Sometimes the market information isn't correct, but you sort of have to try and make a judgment on what you think and try and source some additional stocks, which puts us straight on cash flow. We have pretty good relationships with our surgeries, and where we can, we've been sort of, where we already recommend alternatives. So by the time the patient comes in, ideally an alternative has already been issued and we explain what's happened. Now that's not possible in every single case. And then that's where the difficult conversation starts about medicine's not available and what you need to do going forward. So it just adds to the pressure with everything else that we already have to do. It's just another job that we don't really need to do. And there is the cash flow side of it, which it is having a big impact on, which adds stress and pressure to myself as a contractor, and I'm sure it's similar for you, Wasim.
Yeah, I think it's not something that's new. It's just something that's quadrupled maybe 10 times, and that's no understatement, or overstatement rather. In fact, I'd say it's an understatement. And I'd say because we were having issues with stock prior to this. It's been going on for more than a year, regardless. You had the HRT stuff, and it's not been something that's just happening now. The issue you now have, of course, is on top of already having difficulties with supply and being told constantly that there's no shortage in the supply chain. Regardless, the issue you have is something goes out of stock and then magically comes back in 4 days, but it's triple the price. So absolutely what Waqas said. I think cash flows were decimated prior to this anyway. This has only made it a lot worse. So coming back to in terms of COVID, it's had, I would say, 10 times effect, if not more, on a problem that's already been there. It already exists. And of course, the difference now is, whereas previously you had time, very limited time, but still, you use that extra resource to ring your customers, speak to your customers, and tell them this is not available. Right now, you're just not able to do that. And this is a big issue because it's not just a simple case of utilizing technology solutions or something else to just solve it. You can't. In the end of the day, patient wants their sertraline or their citalopram or their tramadol. They're not there to, wait for your solution as such. And especially in a time like this where people are already stressed, anxiety is already high, people are already suffering from, very difficult circumstances and conditions. So, going back to what Caspar mentioned there, it's difficult and it's causing a lot of strain on everybody who's in the team. And of course, now, previously we'd get up and ring the surgery. Now, of course, the waiting times to get on the phone call with the surgery are just, I remember on last week, Thursday, I think we were on the phone for nearly 1 hour and 6 minutes. We timed this. And we got to number one in the phone call. And the patients are coming in and they're like, oh, we can't be waiting 2 hours for the surgery to pick up the phone. You need to do something about it. So...
Yeah, I mean, if you speak to GP surgery pharmacists as well, they're in the same, because I know Surgical Rahman, who's one of our founding members, he's a prescribing pharmacist, and he did a podcast a couple of days ago, and he was saying, look, we are overstretched ourselves. We've got so many patients on the phone. we've got constant phone calls. So again, on the flip side, the GP surgery side of things, they are probably just as busy from my understanding of it. And again, everyone wants everything right now. And
I think, so just to come in on that, I think they are, and I think you're right. And I think part of the problem stems from the fact that they can have an almost closed door policy. You know, they can do this thing now where we're not going to see patients face to face. We will triage everybody over the phone. We have a surgery that we've been dealing with this week who they will no longer accept paper prescription repeat request, which is fine. They don't have a fax machine, so you can't fax it. They haven't got their NHS email set up. The door's closed. So the only way to speak to this surgery is via phone. And as Wasim just said, you know, you're literally talking about over an hour to get through to the surgery. And that's for everybody, regardless you're a patient, you're a pharmacy, whoever you are, unless you've got a direct line to the doctor, you're not getting through to that surgery. And then we have another local surgery who's got, you know, who's innovated brilliantly. They're sending text messages out to their customers. Your prescription is ready. The problem is, what they mean is your prescription's been sent to the pharmacy. So the patients are getting these text messages, walking in. I've just had a text to say my prescription's ready. And do you know what? It's only just downloaded 5 minutes ago. And it's finding ways to have that communication, which normally you would be able to, you know, you'd make that phone call or have that discussion with your peers in the practice and say, look, this isn't quite working for this reason, but we've got no time. We haven't got time to have, you know, we didn't have time to have lunch anyway. Now we haven't got time to, you know, to take a breath is difficult.
I think what we need right now is an NHS app which shows patients where their prescription is. So if it can track from the GP surgery, okay, it's been signed by a GP, it's now been sent over to your designated pharmacy, and then once it's dispensed and checked and ready, the pharmacy can then say on the app, it's now ready to be collected. That would make the whole thing a lot easier than people running around in different directions and trying to figure out where it's gone. I think in something like this, I think the technology would be really useful to have.
In terms of the app, like, so we recently signed up with Healthera, and that's kind of why we did sign up to them, to kind of help achieve that. But the issue then is not even so much figuring out where the prescription is, although that's a big issue in itself, but the prescribing habits, and not necessarily just the GPs, because they obviously go on what the practice managers tell them, and they go on what guidance comes from your local CCGs, you know, like Lantus and Absalga. What do you guys get in Liverpool for insulin glargine as a prescription mostly?
Lantus.
Yeah, and we've started the quick pens, or the cartridge of the Absalga. So it's like, you've got someone Lantus, someone the other one. You know, the prescribing habits are not helping us, because obviously you get paid differently for different drugs, even though exactly the same thing. I can understand for those that, you know, you have a bioavailability issue. But again, it's like randomly, oh, this is the latest guidance and now we're going to prescribe this. Great, I've just had this much stock sitting in my fridge on last month's, you know, the system is flawed. It is absolutely flawed. And this situation is just making it worse, but it was already flawed, because in the end of the day, the prescribing habits aren't helping us at all. Like, you know, in the end of the day, what the practices will say to a customer, oh, it's up to your pharmacy. They can give you that drug, or they can give you that brand. But no, we can't, because, you know, and it feels bad. Yes, I'm losing £3. Or even if you say, you know, even worse, I might lose 10 pence. Like, really, 10 pence? And that's what you're causing me all this aggro for? I understand their position, but you look at it from our perspective, you know, that 10 pence over 14, 15, 16,000 items.
Yeah, it really adds up. And I think this is where the funding needs to be really improved. I know we've recently had there's been a lot of noise with the PSNC, with the Easter openings and stuff, and I think we've had some funding coming through now for the delivery side, but these things should have happened a long time ago. Vulnerable people are missing out or are having to make difficult choices when these things should have been funded properly from the beginning. But we are here. We are because of the way things have been funded. Just want to move on to the PPE side. I know a lot of places have found it quite difficult to get hold of PPEs. How has it been for you guys as independents? If you had any difficulty getting hold of PPE or getting enough for your teams?
Come on, Wasim, I'll let you go first.
Our first pack as such arrived actually, I'd say early March or mid-March, if I can remember rightly. That did come through. So we had a pack of 50 of your 3-plies, and then we had a set of aprons. I think, I can't remember what else was in there, but those are the things that we definitely received. Was it adequate? Well, the issue you had is we had a letter that came out by the chief pharmaceutical officer saying, well, we don't expect pharmacies to be dealing with many of these patients. So, we doubt there'll be that many coronavirus patients coming into pharmacies. So that was their view then. Funnily enough, as soon as the whole Italy stuff really went bad to worse, we were getting calls and patients coming in who were saying, well, the one-on-one service have told us to walk into you guys because although I visited Italy, it was South Italy, and although I feel I have symptoms, they've said we need to come and see you. So that whole Latin conversation about us not seeing coronavirus patients absolutely diabolical. I don't know where that from.
Really badly planned.
It was terrible. And then in terms of PPE, to be honest, we didn't waste time waiting for anything to come from. And like I said, we got it pretty early, but that was not going to be adequate. One 3-ply should not be used more than a couple of hours, especially in the environments we're in. So we sourced our own. We had to.
Well, Waqas, how has it been for your end in Liverpool?
Yes,
have you had?
Pretty much the same. So we received our packs early March. Again, inadequate. 1 box of gloves, 1 roll of aprons, and 1 box of 3-plies. And same as we've seen, along with the guidance that, oh, by the way, don't use this. You've got staff members who genuinely are frightened. Actually, the team are frightened. They don't want this. So naturally, they want to be protected and they want to wear the PPE. So, we encourage that. And same as we've seen, we've had to source our own because there's no alternative. And the fact is if we don't protect ourselves, and actually if we don't protect the customers and the patients that are coming in to see us, then we're only exacerbating the problem. We're not helping it, we're making it worse. And again, same as we've seen, that first week we were having patients coming in because the guidance to the patients was not clear enough or strong enough.
We've had time since the whole outbreak back in November, December time. We've had a lot of information, yet the planning just literally hasn't been there. It's like we're making things up as we go along from the top.
I remember back to when bird flu was supposed to be coming over from wherever it was, and literally I remember week on week we were getting bombarded by NHS England saying, where's your contingency plan? Where's your contingency plan? What are you going to do if this hits? What are you going to do? And it honestly felt like, well, somebody knows something's about to happen, because I had never come across that sort of thing before. Whereas this time it's been the complete opposite. Radio silence right until it's come right onto our doorstep. And even once it's arrived, the planning hasn't been great at all.
So I think that's I think it's on a national scale. It's been like this from the government to the NHS. We've not had proper planning on any of the issues around COVID, and this is the result of it now, where we as pharmacists, we're suffering. GPs are suffering. The patients themselves are obviously suffering. There's not enough information, and then the right information was now. Then there was mixed information going into pharmacy when they should have really just stayed home. We just did so many one calls from where I was working. for patients with the symptoms to come into the pharmacy. And then there's vulnerable patients who are really ill. They've been told to self-isolate, even though they had the symptoms. They've been told to self-isolate when they should have really been in the hospital. So this, yes, the planning side has been atrocious at best. But just going on to going back to the drug side of things, the sourcing of the drugs. I know we've discussed earlier how it's affected the independence. The small businesses it's quite difficult to get hold of the drugs itself. But then there's a pricing side of things, isn't there? Prices have literally skyrocketed. How has that affected you as a business, not knowing what you'll be paid for and how much you'll be paid for what you're dispensing right now? Wasim, you can start off with that one. Can you hear me?
So look, we can now, yeah. I think it just stopped there for a second. But with wholesaler costs, how does it feel? Well, again, I'm just going to go back and say this is probably how we felt for the last 3 years since the whole 2016 thing got announced. What are we going to get paid next month? It just strikes me that we last month when they finally, I know a lot of us made a lot of noise about recognition for pharmacy, and then they finally do mention pharmacy, and then we get announced 300 million worth of funding, which happens to be a loan, which happens to be our own money that they have to pay us anyway. And I really felt that at that time that was done just out of nowhere, because someone went and said to them, look, pharmacy is going to be closed next month because none of them are going to be able to pay their bills. And right now, you need them. I really do believe that's what must have happened, because there was no discussion. I know the PSNC was having discussions and they were difficult and all the rest, but the truth is, out of nowhere, we get this figure announced. I think the situation was bad, is bad. Waqas Bajaman, I'm sure, attests to that when he talks about his own cash flow. But all the conversations I've had with friends, no idea what we're going to get paid, because the truth is, how many of us have been actually trying to even watch what we're buying? Like when you've got a queue of 20 people, 30 people standing outside, your staff aren't picking any phone calls. We're getting bombarded with prescriptions. We've got all this stuff because everybody's saying you are going to be held accountable for my insulin not coming in. We haven't been watching who we're ordering from. We're trying to get the stock from wherever we can get it. Literally, I can tell you that some of the suppliers bumped up prices. It was incredible, the prices that just jumped up. And of course, they had the perfect opportunity because it was, you've got to understand that it's a crisis and India's banned drugs from coming and so on. And, that needs to be looked at as well. Everything, pharmacies tend to get looked at, cysts get looked at, but someone needs to look at that what happened in that month with the prices. Because the truth is, we're looking at the funding now.
A lot with the wholesaling side, where prices seem to conveniently jump up and down just at the right times, and no one seems to know why or how it happens. Sorry, you're breaking up.
Relationship is wrong. Sorry, like I'm paying for the service, I'm paying for the drugs, but we are beholden to who we are paying as such. They dictate to us. It's scary to have your accounts blocked from one of the big three. You think, okay, we're going to block you. They can literally bankrupt you in 2 minutes. What can you do? They block you for 4 days. You can't get your essential lines. That's it. You've got them.
Isn't there anything that can be done to stop the wholesaler from having that much power over a pharmacy?
You say that again?
Is there something that can be done to stop wholesalers literally having that much of a grip over community pharmacy? Because if the big three that can practically control the whole market, and they've got exclusive deals with the manufacturers as well to supply certain lines of drugs. So you have to have a contract with them. Surely, if they're controlling the market that much, they shouldn't be able to stop a pharmacy from supplying, even if they can't make the payment straight away or within a given time period.
I generally don't have an answer to that question. I think the way, like Wasim said before, the system is flawed. The way the system works means that you're beholden to operate in it the way it is, and unfortunately it's geared up. And when direct to pharmacy came into play, it only made it stronger for the three big wholesalers to take more control. When I first had my first pharmacy, you could there was a lot of competition between the three big ones. Actually, direct to pharmacy came in and it tore away all the smaller ones that were coming up to compete with those, because there were then lines that you could only buy from those three. They've got a hold on the market. But it's not just those three, it's other wholesalers as well. And as Wasim said before, the drugs aren't available. NCSO gets announced, and miraculously, a couple of days later, the drugs are back on the market. And this is what we're dealing with. And the problem isn't necessarily how much are we going to get paid. That doesn't change very much, to be honest. We tend to get paid roughly the same amount, month in, month out. The problem is what's it cost us? And is what we're getting paid going to cover what it's going to cost us? And you'd be surprised to know that a lot of the times the answer is just a flat no, it isn't. And we're putting money in from our own pocket or whatever it may be to keep the business going, to keep the medicine to patients.
In terms of what you said, in terms of, how do you move away from that? How do you stop having one segment or one group of wholesalers having so much hold over your business? Well, it's the same with anything, really. I think you've got two options. Number one is to diversify and make sure that your income isn't solely relied upon by dispensing. However, it's easy to say, harder done. And despite people saying, oh, but you've got to, you get all that motivation, you've just got to find a way, you've just got to go and do it. That's all fine. But when you've got a loan on your head and you've got kids who are just going through school, it's not so easy to just quickly flip your business models. Like, we've done a lot of diversifying, but there are 12 people in our family over the last 8 years who work day and night to allow us to have those options, and they're not all related to pharmacy. And that's what's given us those options to then diversify. But if you're a one band pharmacist, or you've got 2 or 3 stores, you've got to factor all that in. Your business model is based on yes, services, but 80 to 85% is still based on dispensing in its current form and model. So diversifying, yes, is an option. It's not the easiest option, because the government expects you to invest in yourself without giving you any investment to do that. Which is a big hindrance, which means then what do? You turn to your banks. Now, if you go to your bank says, well, you're a great sector. We love pharmacy. As soon as you start saying, but what my concern is, we're probably not going to get paid as much, and that's going to affect our cash flow. So I'm thinking of diversifying. So here's my business plan. So I need you to now take a risk. Banks will only guarantee something or back you as long as they've got security of your property, or NHS money. Yes, that's guaranteed. We'll fund that. As soon as you try to do something different, there will be difficulty. Now, every situation is different. We work with our bank, and they've been really helpful. I'm not going to say they're not, and they've helped us. Especially when it came to diversifying. But that's one option. The second, of course, is controlling this situation with the wholesaling part. Is maybe we do need to consider that independents need to have a fourth option, a collective option, whereby not just beholden to the top 3. And that means, potentially looking at forming a wholesaler group that is for, because, things like buying groups and all this stuff, it all sounds great, but none.
Yes, I mean, buying groups, obviously, that gives you a bigger buying power, which is great. But I think unless you get together, unless a whole, like, say, about, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 pharmacy owners get together and set up the whole wholesaling unit, which is to takes on some of the big three. I don't think you're actually going to get to control or reduce any of your wholesaling costs. And I think there needs to be better competition within the wholesaling market as well. Because if prices are suddenly going up and down conveniently, when there's got to be something that needs to be looked into by the CMA on this. But more importantly, as in the shorter term, the independent pharmacies, they need to survive. And if the cuts are going to keep coming, obviously once this whole COVID crisis is over, we're back to square one where, what's happening with the funding now? Are we going to get any further funding, or is it just going to carry on as it was before? So one thing you can at least guarantee if you have your own wholesaling side is that, the prices are at least lower than what you would have paid previously, so that there is some contingency there. So can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So So this is I think would be a great idea, and whether it has legs or whether more would be interested in setting something up like that, I think remains to be seen. But I mean, Waqas, what's your thought on this? You've got your 3 farms there. You got a stand hour, you got 100 hour, and you've got a online pharmacy as well. And for you, surely having some sort of control over the wholesaling side would be a benefit.
It's definitely an interesting option, and the benefits. You can see the benefits just talking about it with you now. I can see how there would be benefits to that. I think the main difficulty would be, like I said before, is there are items which you physically will not be able to get with the wholesaler arm unless you're one of the top 3. So leaving those aside, because the margins on those items aren't great anyway, to be honest, then it's something, but it needs numbers. For something like that to work, it needs to have enough numbers, enough people interested, enough people invested, and the right people running it and in charge. There's the whole trust issue between contractors and not competing with each other, working together. These are things which are inherent within actually pharmacy as a profession, never mind between contractors or just pharmacy as a profession compete with each other in different remits as well. But you need to overcome all of those obstacles, and once you have that and you have a collective...
I suppose in terms of the competition, businesses, you can't work together and control the prices. So the wholesaling side would have to be a separate unit. Trying to go off my head on this. So it would have to be a separate entity owned by a large number of wholesalers to control the pricing of the reduce the cost of their buying. Apart from that, you couldn't really work together on any other side without being investigated by the CMA.
What I mean is, it's got the wholesale. If for a wholesaling arm to be set up in that way, it has to have the buying power to keep the price down direct from the manufacturers. And for that to be possible, you need the numbers of contractors involved to be able to achieve that. But it's got legs, I think.
I think for our viewers out there, if you think this is something that has legs, do let us know. Leave a comment on this. And obviously, if you're on the Telegram network as a contractor as well, we have our own contractors group. Happy to discuss this further. And a lot of people have suggested this in the past, where contractors that are, especially small contractors, have suggested this, where they're struggling with the buying side, and the big 3 seem to have this death grip on the whole industry. And there needs to be better competition. And another thing I think that would benefit by having a wholesaling side owned by small independent pharmacies, the hub and spoke, because I know a lot of bigger companies are looking at hub and spoke. The dispensing side could easily be carried out by a wholesaling unit as well. So
I think one more thing to this is, especially for independents, is really important. We need to get not just contractors but pharmacists fully involved. Now, when we talk about pharmacy, we conscious or subconsciously, at least, we're thinking we're talking about the profession, but most of us generally are tending to talk about our business, not by any fault of our own, at the end of the day, we are running a business, and when we're talking and discussing things in our mind, we're standing up for not just our business but our teams. I don't think pharmacists always necessarily feel that way, and I don't necessarily blame them. I also don't necessarily blame contractors or ourselves because of the cash flow situations we're in. So if something like this was to happen, just like the service element, I think they should also be given opportunity to have ownership of anything like that set up. Like, I'm really supportive now. One of the best ways to diversify, if you don't necessarily have the financial capacity, is to work with independent pharmacists who are possibly prescribers, and start saying, guys, okay, let's reset our relationship. Previously, we need to accept that £20 an hour or £21 an hour, which, to be fair, is normally what we would pay, shouldn't be your pay. It should be a lot more. We've just not financially been able to do it. However, we do have all these empty consultation rooms that we've been trying to set services for, but we've not really done the best that we could have done with it. So how is it that we could work together whereby you take ownership of the service as well? We profit share, whatever the dynamics of it are. And I think for us, especially, this is the way me and my brothers are starting to think now. We need to really, because if you look at startups and you look at tech and you look at Silicon Valley, that's the thing they keep throwing out there. We are together, take ownership of your work. It's something we need to do in our pharmacies. Because to be honest, for us, it's natural to be working with our pharmacists. So I think one thing, no matter whatever we decide or whatever happens, is one way to really survive is to take these guys and girls on board and have some kind of partnership model with them. Whether it's in individualized services, whether it's for them to set up travel clinics, whether it's to help them, set up a wholesaling business, as you're saying, whatever it is, we've got to, because by them making more money, we will make more money anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But there's got to be that mindset.
Yeah, I think this is where the unity comes in, where we are still one profession and one big family, and we need to find ways of working together. The more we squeeze on the salary side, it has a knock-on effect on the rest of the industry, because then these disgruntled pharmacists will go on CCG and try and find a way to knock the pharmacies down that they work at CCG. And I know this has happened in the past where pharmacists have come back and said, you know what, I'm going to go take a job at CCG. I want to make sure this guy doesn't make enough money. I'm just going to switch the drugs to one that doesn't make money. I mean, it's obviously not a fair way to look at it. But these things can happen. I mean, I think we definitely need to reset. I mean, with this whole COVID, I think if there's one thing it's taught us, is that we need to change the way we look at things and how we do business and how we work together. As a network and as cooperative, obviously one thing we again push for is unity in the profession. And if we could have a system where businesses will be happy to fund some of the training for these pharmacists, and the pharmacists can do the training, or they can pay for part of it from their own pocket, and they can then go and partner with these pharmacies and do profit sharing on as an independent prescriber, or running a travel clinic, or doing aesthetics. There's so many things that we can do as pharmacists. We have a lot of skills, but it needs to be utilized properly and in a way that benefits both the contractors and the pharmacists. So I think, there is, again, where the contractors work, set up their own wholesaling unit working together to control the cost. Again, I don't know how the competition side would work. I'm not a lawyer on that side, but I think that's something that should be investigated further. And also, as a profession, both on the contractor side and on the pharmacy side, can come together and work out how we can reset that relationship and not make it purely about the hourly rate, but how can we get quality from both sides? How can we as pharmacists be happy with what we're doing with our job and be satisfied? And on the other end, how can you as a contractor be satisfied that you've invested your money well in this pharmacist who's hourly rate that you're happy with, it was higher than normal, but because of the services that they brought, the income that they brought, it was value for money. So I think that these are the things that we need to really look at, ideas that we need to question. How can we make it happen? There's a time to talk and there's a time for action. We need to look at now moving from talking into the action side. We have a massive network of pharmacists on Telegram. These ideas can be discussed, and we can literally within weeks put these things into practice. It shouldn't take us long. But I think these are things that as a professional we need to really look into. And I'm going to end the podcast there today. We've had a long discussion, and I want everyone our listeners to come back and let us know your thoughts. Leave some comments. We want to know what your thoughts are on these topics, whether you're a pharmacist as a locum or a manager or a contractor. What are your thoughts, and how can we improve the profession for all of us? Because ultimately, when we are happy with our profession and happy with the way things work, we will be more satisfied. We will feel better as healthcare professionals that we've got a profession now that we're actually happy with, instead of complaining that things are wrong and not doing anything about it.
I think from my perspective at the moment, it very much feels like pharmacy is an afterthought for the powers that be. And, actually what's happened is, in practice, is that the GPs have got a disclosure policy now. NHS 111 can't cope. And the only place people can go to is the pharmacy. That's for their advice, that's for general health queries, all ailment-related things. And what we need to be as a community, as a profession, is actually we need to be better at promoting ourselves.
We need a PR campaign.
We've been very, very poor at. And I think my opinion is that a lot of pharmacists look for a leader, look for someone who they can follow. And actually, there's no reason why every single pharmacist out there can't be a leader. We all have the skills within us to do it. And if I could leave this podcast with one thing, that would be to every pharmacist out there: promote yourself. Do not undervalue yourself. Make sure that anybody you come into contact with knows what you do and the importance of what you do.
I agree. And
Yeah.
to top it off, I think what Waqas said is what I've been harping on about for years, and this is why I went into media. But just to add to that, a pharmacist has accounting skills. A pharmacist has leadership skills. A pharmacist has clinical skills. A pharmacist runs the business. It's the perfect all-round individual. A pharmacist can be put into any industry. We have the perfect set of skills. For too long, we've just let them be sidelined by, fortunately, the way we've been being paid. And that needs to change. So it's very important right now, as Biden said down there, we need to talk about our stories and we need to get active on social media. I think we need a very strong public relations campaign. And I'm not talking a PR campaign that just gets one, the PSNC or someone to come out and say, no, I mean, we need to really tap into, I'll give you an example. Amy's Pharmacy got put into 5 newspapers already by Fahim going to prescribe at 10 o'clock at night. And we didn't even have to do much. People pick the stories up. It's just gone viral. But that's just one example. I went and delivered probably about 600 KN95 masks for free. And it was a purely PR move for me. I know it was, but it was important. I had to do it because now everybody's ringing us. You guys are great. Pharmacies are great. I'm like, I know it's great. Could you do me a favor? Could you go and do a tweet? I'm literally telling patients, could you go and talk about pharmacy? I'm not even saying Amy's. I'm saying, no, what I need you to do is put hashtag pharmacy and pharmacists and just go do a post for us, please. And you can keep taking these masks for free.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that we do, and a lot more that our leadership bodies should be doing to promote pharmacy. And last year, the PDA was looking at running a campaign for to promote pharmacies, basically. and that was going to have a full budget behind it. And we find out what's going to happen with that one. But we need the bodies to come together instead of trying to we're in a bit of this situation where we don't have real solid leadership for the profession, and this is the kind of things that our professional bodies need to be doing, where they're promoting us, the profession, and what we can and can't do, and just go out there and just tell people how great pharmacies are and what we can do.
What we need to do,
and this isn't happening.
Of those pharmacists for independence, honestly, it's essential for us. The multiples are not pharmacy. They are a multi-corporation business. They're never going to be about the profession. They're only as interested until they get the money. And once things don't get money, they just close stores down. They don't care.
Yeah.
Whereas for Bajan to close his stores down, or me to close a store down, it's more than financial. There's izzat, there's 600 things we've got to think about before we close a store down.
Yeah. And I mean, we've had one pharmacy, multiple, telling their staff, well, it's up to you if you want to stay open this weekend. I mean, the whole point of the NHS coming out and telling everyone to stay open is to support the population out there that are suffering at the moment throughout this crisis. And we have multiples that are telling their managers, oh, it's up to you if you guys want to open or not. And that's not really patient care. Each pharmacy has been paid £1,500 to remain open per day for the Easter weekend. Yeah, we've got multiple saying, well, we don't really want to open. We've got, I think, Boots closing 60 branches. Again, a company that size shouldn't really have to close that many pharmacies in this crisis. There should be better planning and better support more than anything else. Like I said, before we end, anything else you add to this?
No, that's great. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for introducing me to Wasim as well.
Likewise, it's great to see. I just think going forward, I keep going on this thing about language. When people don't want to mention you publicly, it's because they don't want to bring you into the forefront of people's consciousness. And when they do that, it means then they can just fob you off once the job is done. So us constantly saying, no, you need to say our wonderful NHS and our doctors, nurses, and add the word pharmacist to that. When people say, oh, but, what about the radiologists? Or what? They don't own businesses. I'm really sorry. They're not, we're a community service. They're doing great jobs, absolutely. But in the end of the day, we are running businesses. We are working in our communities. And as long as politicians don't have to say that word, we're going to keep getting hammered. Once they have to mention that word and it starts becoming an issue, it's harder to say, actually, during COVID, pharmacy was probably absolutely essential. So why the hell are you doing 300 million worth of cuts?
And closing 3,000 branches now. So I think that's another issue where the government's customer, they have this plan to close down these pharmacies, yet when a crisis like this happens, we are the ones that go out there and we are the ones that make sure medicines are delivered to all the patients. We go out there and talk to patients who either have COVID or have been exposed to COVID, so we put ourselves in the front line. Yet when it comes to actual funding and support for this sector, we were told that there is no money. And I think, again, that's something as a profession we need to get together and campaign for and have a strong voice to get the right level of funding. So especially the independents who are out there, who are taking the big hits, that they can go out there and actually carry on providing a high quality service for the whole population. So, thank you, gentlemen. Waqas Ahmed from Liverpool and Wasim Ahmed from Oxford. Thanks for your time and for your input on our podcast today. I will see you again next time. Thanks.
Thank you.